Hello and welcome to the China Repair Studio. So today I thought we would have a continuation of this lovely Canton dish. Now it's a beautiful Chinese dish, all hand painted, and it is missing quite a few pieces on the enamel, if you like, on the painting. In my previous tutorial we did actually colour in, just put in some of the bits in here which were missing, which were the pillars, but also some of the pink here. So I thought today I would touch up on a bit of blue. So we've got, for instance, a piece missing here and some dark blue here and some bits of blue here. So I thought we could, just have a little go with that today and take it bit by bit. Now, if you haven't seen my previous tutorial, I'll just quickly go through. Always use something protective on your work surface. I also have clean hands, obviously. I have ceramic glaze here, Rustin's, which is a waterborne glaze, which I do put into a jar because it does dry very quickly and you don't want to keep opening up the lid. So I use this first and then just keep replacing, keep putting a bit in. You will also need some brushes and some powder pigments or some acrylics. You can actually mix powder pigments and acrylics together and they do work quite well actually, depending what colours you've got in. And also some kitchen paper, just for wiping, and a dish which I've already started messing around with colours, as you can see. Right, so, then I get some stuff on there. Right, there we go. Now, let's start. So what we're going to do first is mix this colour in here. And I found that this one from Winsor Newton, I think it's cerulean blue. Yeah, that's actually a rather nice colour. So I think it's going to be cerulean blue with a hint of white. Maybe have a hint of yellow into it as well. So let's add some of our colour in there, add a bit more in there. Don't need much. Always put your lids back on. And then I would I've already put some white on there actually, if you can see. I've got a bit of yellow there ready. And I think I used that brush actually because it's quite small work. A cup of water. So just get a bit of water in there first. And then I will just place it onto there. So let's get some of that cerulean, mix it. Let's get it going and add a dab of white. And I think it could do with a bit of yellow. I've already made a bit of yellow and blue up. It's that greeny colour. It's darker than that. Once you're quite happy with the colour you've got, you would then get some of your ceramic glaze. Sort of dipping in my dirty brush. I always tend to use the end, which is quite useful. So then dip the end in and just put a bit on there ready. So we can mix it with that and then just wipe your end afterwards with some more kitchen roll. Always place the lid on because it does dry very quickly. Right, so where are we? So we've got our colour sort of mixed up here and here it is. And then add a tiny little bit of what we've just used here, the ceramic glaze. And that colour looks quite good. Obviously you can't tell until it's actually on. Let's give that a go. You can try, it's all trial and error to be honest. Oh, that's blending in quite nicely. You could do with a little bit more, because it's quite a watery colour. So let's take that off. It's quite tricky because it's quite see-through as well. It's not too, it's sort of not a big, it's not a block colour. Let's go for that. Maybe add a tiny bit more of that green. As I say, it is just trial and error. So let's go for that for the moment. Ah, that's good. And just blend it in. You don't want to go through the whole lot. You want to keep the integrity of the piece and of who's coloured it. So you don't want to paint over the original. Now I can see there's some other bits here missing. So I paint that in, just little blobs, just little bits. And kind of blend it in. That's looking quite good. You can see here it's missing. Add that in there. It's quite wishy-washy on the design anyway, so that's kind of blending it in quite nicely. I can always add a bit of other colour tones if I like, if I just want to, say, make a little bit of a definition here, for instance. That's better. Okay, that's better. Yeah, so it's just not one colour. So let's move on to this colour here, and actually I can see, sorry, a bit missing here. So while we're still onto that colour, let's go missing a bit there, and just put him in there. You can build up with the other blue in the moment. I can see it's so just blending in. Maybe add a tiny bit more colour. As I say, it is trial and error. Add a tiny bit of dark there just to sort of bring it in. There we go. I think that's good. Right, so now I would work on these colours, on the dark blues. So we wash our brush. Now the dark blue, I would go for this colour. I've got ultramarine, and we can always add a bit of brown or some black. So what I would do first, again with the tip of the brush, just add a bit there. You could use a white tile. I'm quite a messy painter, to be honest. My art teacher was never impressed. Kind of working chaos, but it works. Right, so we get a bit more of the rustins as well, I think. Add a bit of that, as I say, add on to the end, and then just dollop a bit on. Right, and I think it's got a little bit of dark to it, so I might add a bit of ivory black. I don't think we'd need very much, but just a smidge. I'd put it onto the plate as well somewhere, find a white spot. We'll see how that goes. Right, okay, so if we get some water and let's get some of the blue first. And if you did take a little bit and put it somewhere else, there for instance, that's quite a lot of blue, so it doesn't need so much. And maybe, actually it is quite a light colour, it's maybe not even as blue as that. Or is it that colour? That looks quite good actually. Let's take a bit of the rustins and just see what that looks like on. So we've got this area here. We can always build up. You hear any snoring noises? It's my dogs. I have 3 dogs that are always in the kitchen with me, and I decided to come into the kitchen and they're all snoring away. Now that's kind of building up. You can see it's still lighter. So if I let that dry, actually, yes, I'll let that dry and then I'll give it another coat. Meanwhile, we can sort of do a bit of, where else have we got? We've got this part here, and we've got some lines here. So I think first of all, let's work on this part here. That looks quite simple. So again, we get some of the rustins and just add it to some of this blue. I'm not going to water it down so much this time. I can just see a bit there. That's better. And here as well. So you can use finer brushes depending on the work you're doing. It's got quite a good point to it, you can see there. The pointier the better, you can get a really good sharp line. Might even use one which is even smaller. So for instance, let's have a look. Got one here. This is a very nice small one here. So I dab in there. So you can see that colour. So for instance, this is quite small here. You can see some little bits, and it's almost with lines. That's it, it's coming together. And I would do that on there as well. So you do have to be quite patient with this sort of thing. You can't rush it. Obviously, as normal, I'm not editing. This is all in real time. Add a bit on there. More rustings. As I say, it's just trial and error. So you can mix the colours, you can mix powder pigment and, as I previously said, and acrylics together, and they actually do work quite well. I actually think the acrylics are probably easier to work with. And just make that a bit more of a line there. Smidge, smidge. There we go. And then I can see a bit more there. Once you've finished what you've painted, you always finish off with a final glaze. That will protect the surface, the painting you've done, but it would also help make it sort of blend in. So let's just do a bit here. I can just see. If you do make a mistake, like I just have, just wipe your fingers over and just slowly. That's it. It's missing a bit there. Let's put a bit there. That's it. It's coming together now. So now I can see where else are we missing bits. Here. And this bit here. Just do it very, very lightly. I don't want a big ridge. Just a little blend in. Sometimes it's the smallest of detail. Right, this is kind of dry now, so I'll see if I can actually before I do that, I can see a bit here I've missed. Just blend him in a bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. Blend him in a bit more there. That's it. That's better. You've got that bit there. Right, so now looking at this, I can see that, where are we, any more blues? It's just this part here. Obviously we've got this bit to do, which is going to be quite a challenge on that, because there's nothing to see how it is. So we really are starting with scratch on that. So we'll get some more. I might make it slightly watery first. So it looks quite dark. Let's go for a darker. So I'm adding the very dark colour again, which is the was it the ultramarine, added with some of the glaze. Right, let's have a look here, see if we can go straight in with it. Might be able to build that up slightly. Now, where is it? Okay, you can see it from there. That would be too dark. Looks like she's got a dark line there, so it probably did start off darker. Just blend in. Now, I don't want it to be a big bulk of dark, so I'm just going to make it slightly more watery on that part by adding some of the blue glaze and that blue, and I've added a bit more water to it, so we can just give it a bit of a base first. As you can see, it's not so, it's almost like she's got some darker there. If it's too dark, as you can see there, it's quite dark on there. It's coming together. Dark, so you can always add a bit, so get a bit of water if you find it's a little bit too dark. I don't want to stand out too much, I think, and it is kind of a watery base, so I've just added some water to my my brush there, and you can just sort of, you know, water it down a bit so it looks more natural. So that's better. That kind of blends in with how everything else seems to be. That's it, because it's kind of more of a watery. Blend it in. I would actually, I think on this bit here on the collar, I'll probably end up putting some, I think she's got some, another colour of grey. There we go, that's blended in better. And so then we're just going to finish off this bit here, which will be, use the same colour, which is the blue, ultramarine, with some, again, I'm going to have it slightly watered down. Don't want it too thick, too dark. And we'll just give it a bit of a wash. Let's see how that works. Ah, that's a good colour. You can see it's just washing nicely. Almost using the flat of the brush on this, because I don't want it to be a hard solid line. There we go. Almost do it on there as well. Go back on there. I don't want any solid lines. It doesn't have any solid lines. It's all coming together now. Blend some more colour into here. And onto there. And you can keep building up. I'll probably go back onto this a little bit later and blend it in, because obviously you've got two different tones there, but obviously it's very wet. Well, not too wet, but it needs to dry completely. And I'll probably give it one final wash with the ultramarine, just so it blends in, and then afterwards I would apply just the ceramic glaze over. Not too much, otherwise you end up with drips, just so it would dry off nicely. Now lastly, I can see a bit of green, see a bit of blue missing there, so I think we'll do that today, and I think we'll be done for today. And then tomorrow, and then next on Sunday we'll probably do some greens. But I just see a bit here, so while the paint's out, one last time, so we've got our paint, ceramic glaze, where is it? There we go. Let's see, it's quite dark there, even darker actually. So let's get a bit more. Let's say it is trial and error. You've got to kind of guess what was there really. Just going to do it like that. I'd almost say it has a hint of black with it, so it's quite dark. You can see there. So I'm just going to add a hint of black. That's better. I don't know if that was empty. Yeah, and then we just need to blend that in. I'm not going to make that so dark, because I don't know if it was actually there, but it's very hard to tell because it's missing so many bits. There we go. And then we've got another hole there. Don't think it's meant to have holes, so let's blend him in. Doesn't matter if it's lighter, I can always build up onto that later. Let's put a bit more there. I think inside there was green actually, so I'm going to take that off because I can see, I think it used to be a little bit of green, so I can put some green on that when we work on that tomorrow. But I have put some darker tone on there just to blend. Just be on that corner there. And that's all looking quite good. Pleased with that. It's getting there, bit by bit. So what I'm going to do is, I'll give a final glaze once I'm happy with that, and once this is completely dried, I'll give that another go with the ultramarine, so it all blends in, then a glaze, and yeah, and then that bit's done. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. I'm hoping you're painting with me, and I'll see you in the next one. I'll be uploading on Sunday. I upload every Wednesday and Sunday. Please subscribe and please like, and I'll see you then. Okay, bye.